I'm Sue McMahon and I'm cookery editor at Woman's Weekly magazine, and I'm going to show you how to make a very quick starry Christmas cake. I've got here an 18cm square cake, that's a 7-inch cake, and I'm going to cover it on the top and the sides with some sieved apricot jam. It takes about 4 to 6 tablespoons of the apricot jam. So this is going to be glue as such for adding the layer of marzipan to hold the marzipan in place. So you need to make sure that it spread evenly, completely covering the cake. I've turned the cake upside down because then that gives me a really nice flat top to the cake to work on. Okay, so that's a nice even layer ready for the marzipan. And I just use a damp cloth to make sure that there's no jam on the board. So that's it, ready to put the marzipan onto it. It takes about 1 kilo of marzipan to cover the cake, and I've been working this for a short time just to make sure it's nice and soft, but I haven't put anything on the work surface at this stage. It's only when I start to roll it out that I'm going to dust the work surface with some icing sugar. So my aim is to roll it out so that it's large enough to cover the top and sides of the cake all in one piece. Now you can either lift it onto the cake by putting your hands underneath it and then lifting it up, or you might find it easier, particularly on a larger cake, if you actually roll the marzipan back over the rolling pin, and then you can lift it up on the rolling pin and unroll it over the cake. So with a square cake, I'm going to work on the corners to ease the marzipan into place so that hopefully there won't be any folds. And keep it pulled up at the top because you don't want any holes forming in the corners. So now I'm going to cut away the excess marzipan around the base of the cake. And this excess marzipan can then be well wrapped in a plastic bag and kept sealed so that it can be reused. But with the cake, to give it a smooth surface, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub some more icing sugar onto the top and then rub over the top and the sides with an icing smoother, working it over the top edge as well to give a nice right-angled edge. I find as well on the sides of the cake that these flat icing side scrapers give quite a good finish. So that's the cake covered in marzipan, ready to coat in icing. I've got about 1.25 kilos of white ready-made sugar paste, and I'm kneading it so that it's nice and soft. I'm going to dust the work surface with some icing sugar so that I can start rolling it out. So this needs to be bigger than the marzipan was. This has got to cover the top of the cake, the sides, and also I'm going to cover the cake drum as well. So now that's big enough, I'm just going to make sure that it hasn't stuck to the work surface. And then I'm going to brush water over the top and the sides of the cake. Then I'm going to lift the sugar paste. You can put it over the rolling pin as I did for the marzipan, or just drape it over the cake. Make sure that there's no air trapped underneath the sugar paste, and then work it down over the sides and around the corners. And then I'm going to cut around the edge of the cake drum. Now this sugar paste needs to be kept wrapped in a plastic bag to keep it soft, because I'm going to be using it again for the star decoration for the top. And as I did with the marzipan, I'm going to rub the surface of the sugar paste smooth. And I'm also going to rub it to make sure it does totally cover the board. Okay, that looks a nice even thickness on the board now. So I'm going to lift the cake and then hold the knife against the cake board while I cut away the excess. Now these trimmings can also be wrapped up to be reused for the stars, and the cake can either be left as it is with a nice smooth board, or to texture the board you can use what's called a veining tool, and you press it into the sugar paste and then roll it backwards and forwards slightly. Try to get them evenly spaced out so that they do look quite neat. And then once you've gone all the way around, you will need to just give a final trim because it will stretch the icing a little bit. So just go around the edge of the board again to make sure it's nice and neat. Now the icing that I've cut off this time, I would actually throw this away because this will have started to dry up a little bit.